and welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And this is a week, every single week this winter, we've had some sort of a storm event. I'm kind of tired of waking up and going, where did that come from? My goodness, it's a little chilly out today. I got to tell you, I really do like, we've got this new jackets, outerwear that have batteries installed in them. So if you get a little chilly, you're like underdressed a little bit, you need an extra layer. You can turn your jacket on, and it will actually start to heat up for you. It has a built-in heater. I've got pullovers, vests, full-on jackets, gloves. They all have batteries in them, and so just as long as you charge up the battery, they go pretty much all day. But this kind of week, this kind of worked out. So I went to work, what was that, Thursday. I should have had an extra vest on. I didn't. Now you turn your jacket on, it just heats up for you. It's like putting your bum against a fire, only it's right on your neck or right on your back. It's really nice. So this week we did actually see spring start. And so last week we saw the Forsythia open up. This is a shrub about chest high, maybe head high, covered in bright gold flowers, just bright like sunny yellow flowers. It'll bloom like that for a month, 6 weeks. Then it starts to put on these nice green leaves. This week, the first of the trees started to bloom. And so the trees we're seeing a pink tree right now. It's got maybe mid-teens. So it's 15 to 20 feet tall. That's a bit optimistic. 15 to 18 feet tall. Vase-shaped, covered in pink flowers. That is a purple leaf plum. It always blooms first in the tree seasons, the tree section in spring. So that one will keep that pink flower on there for about a month. Then it will slowly start to bring on these purple leaves. So in about 2 weeks, you start to see purple leaves coming in. That's a mixture of purple and pink. It's very pretty. And then it just has this purple foliage that carries it right through the end of the fall season. And its fall color is purple. It's just a purple leaf plum. It's real pretty. It's ornamental. It doesn't really put plums on. Every once in a while, you can get a little cherry size thing on it. But if you want plums, plant an actual plum tree and they'll form big size, like baseball size or tennis ball size type of plums. That's one. Another one that's white that looks similar. It's a little taller, so probably more in that 25 to 30 foot tall tree. It's got covered in white flowers. Same thing. It'll bloom for about a month. And then it will have these nice glossy green leaves show up. That one is starting to bloom all around town. These two trees kind of race to see who can announce spring first. They're both very excitable. They like to go, it's the day's long enough. Let's just bloom together. So that's an ornamental or flowering pear. Now again, it doesn't put pears on. It puts just the pear flower. It has this nice green, it's a good shade tree actually. Gets up 30 feet tall, especially even for smaller backyards, like perfect. And it's a dense shade. So summer it's 95 degrees, you just want it to be cooler. Flowering pears are perfect for that. But its claim to fame is in the spring for the white flowers, and it's the last tree to turn red, like fire engine red, like bright, like turn the light switch on and look at glow red. It's the last tree to turn red in the fall of the year. So usually November, it's first part of December, it's actually been in red, that bright fall color. And then once it drops its leaves, fall is over. It's winter now. Bring on the holidays. So that's its claim to fame. The other one that will show up right after this, probably next week, the redbuds will start to bloom. There's a short tree. Again, it's a native type of tree, so it adapts really well, very drought hardy. Gets up to low teens, so maybe 10 to 15 foot tall. Kind of this beautiful umbrella shape to it. But the leaves are heart-shaped through through summer. I've still got winter on the brain. Through summer, And so it has this drought hardy, robust type of leaf to it. It looks delicate, but it is truly, I mean, you're going to kill that by overwatering it. Abuse it, neglect it. It's happy. Its companion plant would be a desert willow. They like growing together. But it will bloom in this fuchsia, bright pink flower next week, or in a few days. Let's put it that way. I'm tired of calling when is spring going to be here. I'm getting a lot of folks going, I'm planting. Should I cover things? So the Potentilla, this is a cute little shrub about knee high, ball shaped with yellow flowers all over it from April through the end of the year. It's an amazing little plant that animals don't like to eat. Takes full sun, takes wind, dust, dirt, takes everything Arizona throws at it. It's been leafing out for at least 3 weeks, since March. It started to leaf out. Not quite blooming yet, but it's definitely leafing out. That plant is fully leafed, and people are going, do I need to protect it? No. It knows what it's doing. It wakes up when it needs to. It wakes up when it wants to, and it will start blooming early because that plant puts on foliage early. It starts to flower much earlier than, let's say, even roses do, or Russian sage, or some of these other blooming plants. It blooms at least 3-4 weeks ahead of those guys because it just has the ability to leaf out without being damaged and just take on that photosynthesis and start to create their flower buds sooner than other, let's say, autumn sage or some of these other plants do. So these plants, I'm getting folks say, oh, my roses are starting to leaf out. Do you need to worry? No, they know what they're doing. Leave them alone. They're going to keep leafing. And as soon as they start leafing, about 45 days later, they bloom. I mean, you can just count on it. In fact, right now, you should be finishing up pruning on your roses right now. There's an urgency to it. And as soon as you get done pruning, you fertilize them. You can almost mark the calendar 45 days later. It's going to be in bloom. In fact, that's a little trick. If you've got a wedding and you know your date's going to be June 1, you could back that up and really cut back, take all the flowers off. Don't let it bloom. 45 days before that event, fertilize it, and it will just come into bloom and be riotous. It'll be just beautiful at that marker. So you can play with that some. So that's how we do at the farm. So I've got about 1,000 roses showing up the last week in April. It's kind of a crapshoot. We're kind of we kind of risk a little bit, but we'll bring them all of them will be in bloom all at once. It's a hoot. It's, if you're a gardener, you just go, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. We've timed it so they all do that, and that's our little trick, 45 days. So we're bringing them in right then because we're probably out of the risk of frost. I don't know about this year, but probably. At least we can cover them, protect them, and if it does frost, it's a light frost. It won't take, a frost will not damage roses when they're in full bloom, but it can take the flowers off. Well, we've invested all this energy and time in 1,000 roses to come in to bloom at once. We're trying to set the stage for Mother's Day. So a couple weeks prior, we bring in all these roses because you want some color in the yard. Well, there's nothing more fragrant than a rose. So we strategize this. We don't bring them in earlier. We could have them blooming earlier if we so chose, but then the risk of frost is always out there. And then it's too much work to keep them going. It won't damage the plant. It just takes the flowers off. Well, the reason we're doing this is to have them in bloom for a long time. So until they're inspired, until gardeners are inspired enough to buy them all and they leave the garden center and go bloom in your own gardens. So spring's here. I saw Washington, D.C., their flowers, the flowering cherries just opened up. Our local cherries just opened up as well. So local, there's a wild cherry that blooms. So the flowering cherries will start opening up more and more and more as the days start getting longer and the days get a little brighter, warmer. They'll start blooming. So it is time to plant and enjoy flowering trees in your yard. We've got Lisa Waterslane coming up in the studio right after this. Let's take an important break.